Hello, and welcome back to another theory video, this time about Alice in Borderland. In today's video, we'll look at all the possible games we might see in Season 3. So if you're curious about what deadly challenges Arisu and his friends could face in the season finale, be sure to stick around until the end. And don't forget to come back to this video once the season premieres on September 25th. The only game we know for sure will appear in Season 3 is the original Three of Clubs game. The game you see here, with the flaming arrows, is the first one Arisu plays when he arrives in Borderland. It's called Good Fortune or Bad Fortune and takes place at a festival. In broad strokes, it works like this. Every player draws a paper fortune, and each fortune has a luck rating that dictates the difficulty of the question. Each question requires a numeric answer, and if a player answers incorrectly, the penalty is one flaming arrow, shot at the venue for each point of difference between the correct and given answer. For example, if the question is, how many seconds are in a minute? And you answer 62, then 2 flaming arrows would be fired. The game is cleared when all players have drawn a paper fortune. However, the game ends if any player has not drawn a paper fortune by the time all the lamps go out, or if all players are killed during the game. If you don't want any spoilers, please skip ahead 10 seconds. The solution to this game is simple. The fortune slips contain extra information besides the question. It may seem irrelevant at first, but it reveals that the north is safe. Heading north leads to a bunker where players can hide to avoid the incoming flaming arrows. Based on the short teaser we received, it's possible that we'll also see 2 more games from the original manga. This scene with the train could actually be the Two of Hearts game, cleared by Sori on her first day in Borderland. In case you don't remember her, Sori is the woman who joined our 3 main characters after the first game in Season 1. The Two of Hearts game works like this. Each train consists of 4 carriages, and the game doesn't begin until each player boards a different train. One of the 4 carriages contains lethal, poisonous gas. If a player enters without a canister of oxygen, it's game over. Each player is given a gas mask and 3 cylinders of air, with each cylinder providing 5 minutes worth of oxygen. Once a player enters a carriage, the door to the next carriage won't open for 5 minutes, meaning they must use up a cylinder regardless. This essentially forces each player to choose one carriage to enter without a mask, hoping it isn't the one filled with poison. The game is cleared if the player successfully passes through all 4 carriages. If you prefer not to have the solution spoiled, please skip ahead 10 seconds now. The key to clearing this game is paying attention to detail. In each carriage, there is a vase of flowers. In the safe rooms, the flowers are blooming. In the poisoned room, the flowers are wilted and dead. And the last game from the manga could be the Four of Hearts game, hinted at by the elevator scene in the teaser. This game is called Survey and is limited to 5 players. The mechanics are fairly simple. Once all 5 players have registered, they enter a window cleaning lift equipped with a microphone and are moved to the 10th floor of the building. A question appears on a screen, along with answers collected from a survey. The survey results show a majority and a minority on a pie chart. Players must decide whether the majority answer is correct or the minority answer is correct. If a player thinks the majority is correct, they press the top button. If they think the minority is correct, they press the bottom button. The time limit for each question is 1 minute. Answering correctly with the majority moves the lift up 1 floor. Answering correctly with the minority moves it up 2 floors. Answering incorrectly with the majority moves the lift down 1 floor and delivers a high voltage electric shock to the player. Answering incorrectly with the minority results in game over, so players must be extremely careful. The element that makes this a hearts game is the final rule. Tricking another player into picking the wrong answer grants a bonus of 5 floors up, in addition to any floors gained for answering correctly. The game is cleared if a player reaches floor 20. The game ends if a player reaches floor 0. I'm not entirely sure if this scene is also part of a game, but this shot of a man pointing a gun at someone could actually be a hint that it's the first game Chishia played when he arrived in Borderland. A simple yet deadly game of blackjack. In this version, if you run out of chips, you're eliminated by the dealer using a gun similar to the one we see in the teaser. At the end of the game, the winning player also receives that gun as a prize. A little trivia fact for you. This is one of only 2 games that feature a game clear prize. the other being the Seven of Hearts. Moving on, one big possible game featured in Season 3 could be the classic old Maid game, where the Maid is represented by the Joker card. This version would be played with 6 people, specifically those 6 we see near the table with 6 chairs. The person who draws the Joker card appears to be this character here. The face shape and clothing match perfectly. I'm about 90% sure these two sequences are related and from the same game. Most likely, this is also a Hearts game, because it would require heavy emotional manipulation. Based on how much screen time the man in the wheelchair gets, I suspect he will be the sole winner of this game. Another straight-to-the-point game appears to be the one where people are avoiding laser beams. I think the mechanics here are pretty simple. This would be a Spades game where the challenge is to avoid the lasers for a set amount of time. Next, we have this mall-like setting, with Arisu looking lost and overwhelmed by the sheer size of the playing field. It's possible this game is similar to the second game from Season 1, the game of tag, where players needed to find the safe room while being chased by a killer with a machine gun. Maybe this time, the game is also a Spades challenge, where players must find the exit within a time limit. If the time runs out, the entire mall could explode, something hinted at by the explosion shown in the teaser. Earlier, I mentioned that this player here was Arisu trying to get back into the mall to find Usagi, but after looking closer, I think I was wrong. I'm now more inclined to believe this is actually Banda, since that t-shirt is pretty iconic. Now here's where the real analysis begins. The most challenging game to speculate on is the one featuring the blue-haired girl. In this dice scene, we can spot her clearly. The nail polish color and clothing match perfectly. I'm assuming this is a diamonds game. There are 4 hexagonal dice, and after a closer look, I noticed the yellow dice only has odd numbers, while the blue dice only has even numbers. The green and red dice contain both odd and even numbers. Could this dice sequence and the card sequence we see here be part of the same game? I think it's very possible. What I can say for sure is that these two scenes are connected. The person holding the cards, specifically the shotgun card, is playing against the blue-haired girl. This scene with her comes directly after the one featuring the shotgun card. If you look closely at the blurred cards in the background, you can spot the shotgun card again. Even the color arrangement, 2 black cards on the left, followed by only red cards, matches perfectly with the blurred sequence, meaning one shot follows the other. Because we know these 2 shots are related, the neon lighting in the background makes me think the dice scene is also part of this same game. Both share that same vibrant, high neon look. I'm pretty sure this could end up being one of the best games in Season 3. As for the mechanics, my theory is that players must draw or eliminate cards based on the sum of the dice roll. For example, the total number rolled could dictate how many cards you need to draw in that round. You might also get to choose from which player you take cards, maybe drawing 10 from one player and 2 from another. The big twist would be that whichever player ends a round holding the shotgun card gets eliminated at the end of that round. Something along those lines seems very likely. Moving forward, we see a game in which a woman is being electrocuted while holding 2 cards. What's interesting to me is that almost every game we've seen so far in the teaser involves playing cards as part of the gameplay itself. In the first 2 seasons, the playing card was only given as a prize for completing a challenge. There weren't actual card games shown in the series. When I first saw this scene, I thought it might be connected to the old Maid game. But there's no woman with this floral pattern among the players at the start of Old Maid, which means this is a completely different game. At the bottom of the frame, we can spot a man's shoulder, and he's not being electrocuted. So this likely means the woman was eliminated because she didn't meet the requirements to pass that round. So, what could those requirements be? Based on the fact she only had 2 cards in her hand, either she drew a deadly card, or she failed to make a pair with the remaining cards. Next, we have a game featuring Usagi. Based on its design and the fact that she's one of the players, I'm inclined to believe this is a Spades game. The structure looks very similar to the Queen of Spades game from before, and judging by the moment where Usagi fails to hold on to someone and their hand slips, it seems like this challenge involves a lot of jumping and climbing across cranes. If I had to guess, the objective is to move from the starting point to the finish within a time limit, navigating a deadly maze of steel and scaffolding. Based on Usagi's terrified expression, I'm fairly certain we'll see the death of a major character here. There's also another game with Usagi in Season 3, and I think this one happens earlier because she still has her jacket on. We know it's a game because she's wearing the collar, and it's different from the Crane game since she has a bracelet on her wrist. This second game must be a clubs game, possibly something similar to the King of Clubs challenge. But without more information, that's the most we can predict for now. Now the laboratory game, something I mentioned in my previous video, is most likely tied to the zombie card and the brief shot of the rat inside a cage. My first instinct when I saw this was that players need to find a cure within a time limit to move to the next stage. But there's a complication. From the 10 players we see, 5 are taken out by the laser. This suggests the game might be played between 2 teams. We also see that this game involves cards, because the player at the bottom is holding some, and is eliminated. So, maybe at the start of the game, one team is dealt the zombie card and must find a cure to survive. Or maybe they can pass the card to the other team, forcing them to take on the challenge instead. This is one of the hardest games to speculate about, but I'm confident it's a clubs game. Finally, the game that appears to be played between Arisu and Banda. I'm pretty sure this will be the final game of the season and one of the most spectacular in the series. I think this will be the Joker game, and it will involve all 4 suits. As for the mechanics, I imagine it's a team game between Arisu, Usagi, and the other players versus the citizens, like Banda and Yaba. I believe all those scenes of Arisu going through a door in the middle of Tokyo are part of this final game, with his objective being to find clues that lead to the exit from Borderland. The shot of him being struck by a laser right in front of the exit door makes me think the ultimate goal is to reach that door. And as I said in my last video, I suspect this particular moment is a vision shown to Usagi, a psychological trick to make her believe that her actions will cause Arisu's death, similar to how the Queen of Hearts manipulated him in their game. I can't wait to see all the games featured in Season 3, because in my opinion, the games are the very best part of Alice in Borderland. Let me know in the comments which games you think will appear in the season finale.